Director Rian Johnson redeems himself with Knives Out. Knives Out is a murder mystery written and directed by Rian Johnson. He was the most hated man last year with Star Wars The Last Jedi. A lot of people were very upset with the changes he made to the mythology in the Luke Skywalker or the Skywalker saga. I didn't mind it. I mean, it wasn't a great movie. There were some choices that I didn't quite care for, but it didn't have to do with the Skywalker storyline. I think he was very bold in making some of those changes, and we see what kind of a filmmaker he is again in Knives Out, where he takes chances. And I'll explain that later. But this is a star-studded murder mystery, and we have seen plenty of murder mysteries, but he does it in a way that seems really fresh. And it stars everybody from Daniel Craig, Ana de Armas, who happens to be the lead character, which I was happily surprised. She did such a really good job. Christopher Plummer, Chris Evans, Don Johnson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, Michael Shannon, Lakeith Stanfield, Jaden Martell from the It movies. But sorry, teens, he's not in the movie that much, and he's a very quiet, creepy kind of character, though. And who else? Catherine Langford, another one that the young people will know from 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. So it's a great cast. In Knives Out, Daniel Craig is hired by a mysterious person, he doesn't even know who hired him, to investigate the death of a patriarch named Harlan Thrombey, who was a rich man who made his money off selling murder mystery books as a writer. So, of course, his family are leeches. And so now Daniel Craig's character, along with the police detective, have to figure out who killed the patriarch, played by Christopher Plummer. Now, Rian Johnson turns things on its head because we find out early on who killed Harlan Thrombey, which threw me off. I did not know where it was going. So the story doesn't go as you think it will, as with murder mysteries. So now, as a viewer, you're wondering, what the heck? So where does this movie go? And it's got plenty of avenues, that's for sure, which he sets up in the story. So of course we can't get into it because I will give it away. But yes, the family are suspects, and throughout the movie we go through each character and learn a secret that they were keeping. And we flash back to a moment where they interacted with the patriarch, Mr. Thrombey, and we find out slowly what each character was hiding. Knives Out is very clever, and it keeps you on your toes, and you're wondering where exactly the story is going because we already know who killed him. So everything's up in the air. We don't know exactly where they're going with the story, but they're slowly filling in the holes, and that's what I really liked about this movie. Although Act 1 was a little slow, and I found myself nodding off a little bit. On top of that, I was tired. Once you get into Act 2, things start really, really moving, especially when you find out... Okay, I can't go there. But anyway. But the main character, we mostly follow Ana de Armas, who again plays the nurse to Mr. Thrombey, and she has to figure out what to do with the knowledge that she has. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. I can't go any further. Anyway, it was a very clever script. I really liked it. It kept me on my toes. I didn't know what to expect next. And the whole cast are just hilarious and awesome in their own way. Chris Evans, it's nice to see him play douchey again. I got the Captain America out of my head really quickly because he's very douchey. And it reminded me of the times when he played in Fantastic Four. He was a little douchey even though he was a superhero, but he always played this cocky guy. And there's some of that in here. Or reminded me of the time when he played in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's a good movie. Check it out. It's very underrated, but it's very, very fun. It's very quirky. So if you like quirky, that's the ticket. So it reminded me of that. So I really quickly got out of the Captain America mode because I really thought he was just such a good character on the Avengers. So it's good to see him play the opposite. I'm sure he did that on purpose to get the Captain America out of people's heads, and this was a really good role for him to do that. And I was really surprised with Ana de Armas. I thought, first I was surprised she was the main character. And it was really nice to see her in the role. And there's some political stuff going on in the family, and her being a Latina character, they play upon some of the issues that have been plaguing Latinos the last few years, if you know what I mean. Now, this is my takeaway. I saw this sort of a love letter to a certain group who's been vilified the last few years by a certain person and establishment people. So I really love the fact that somebody took the time to create a story, not so much about that. It's an entertaining film, but there's a message underneath it that most people will understand. It's not, it doesn't hit you over the head. But you kind of get the gist, and I really appreciated that out of Rian Johnson. I thought, oh, thanks. That's really cool that there was this movie. It's entertaining, but on top of that, there was like an underlying subliminal kind of messaging in there, and I really liked that about that movie, about Knives Out. So that's my take. I don't know what other people think, but I highly recommend this film. I think everyone's going to enjoy it. All the characters are hilarious in their own right. And it was just a really good time. And a lot of people were laughing, very funny. A lot of funny moments, and people were cracking up. And some great one-liners. There's one piece of dialogue that was hilarious. Jamie Lee Curtis's character keeps saying that she's self-made. She didn't rely on daddy's money. And then another character says, yeah, I believe your dad gave you $1 million for starting from the ground up. So we know what that's in reference to. If you don't, you're out of luck. But anyway, fun movie. Check it out. Definitely for the whole family. Well, not the whole family. Not the kids, but for the adult family. Highly recommend this one. Since the holidays are coming up and you're wondering what movies to see this holiday season, go to CineMovie.tv for our list of must-see movies this season.